Welcome to Hello America Millennium Daily News Update. I am with you and now. Details this time. From her earliest campaigns in California to her serving as President Joe Biden's running mate, Kamala Harris has honed an aggressive but calibrated approach to debates. She tries to blend punch lines with details that build toward a broader narrative. She might shake her head to signal her disapproval while her opponent is speaking, counting on viewers to see her reaction on a split screen. And she has a go-to tactic to pivot debates back in her favor, saying she's glad to answer a question. As she gathers her thoughts to explain an evolving position or defend a past one, Tuesday's presidential debate will put the Democratic vice president's skills to a test unlike any she's faced. Harris faces former President Donald Trump, the Republican nominee, who will participate in his seventh general election debate since 2016 for an event that will be seen by tens of millions of viewers just as early voting in November's election starts around the country. He claimed she would raise taxes and accused her of supporting open border policies that would allow an influx of unvetted migrants into the country. He blamed her for a litany of the current administration's failures and cast her potential presidency as for more years of the same. Donald Trump wasn't facing Vice President Kamala Harris. It was Hillary Clinton on the debate stage. As Trump and Harris prepared to debate for the first and potentially only time Tuesday, his three meetings with Clinton in 2016 illustrate the challenges facing both candidates in what is again shaping up to be an extremely close election. Harris will face a skilled and experienced debater who excels at rattling his rivals with a barrage of insults and interruptions while projecting inflappable confidence and conviction. And Trump will be up against a longtime prosecutor known for landing pointed punches. He again faces a woman who would become the country's first female president and must contend with the underlying gender dynamics at play. Demoralized by the Biden administration's handling of the Israel-Hamas war, Palestinian-American Samya As found in Vice President Kamala Harris' ascension and her running mate pick a little ray of hope. That hope, she said, shattered during last month's Democratic National Convention, where a request for a Palestinian-American speaker was denied and listening to Harris left her feeling like the Democratic presidential nominee will continue the U.S. policies that have outraged many in the anti-war camp. I couldn't breathe because I felt unseen and erased, said Ast, a community organizer in New Mexico. Under different circumstances, Ast would have reveled in the groundbreaking rise of a woman of color as her party's nominee. Instead, she agonizes over her ballot box options. Corporate policies meant to advance diversity and inclusion in the workplace are legal and should be expanded to promote broad economic prosperity and reduce racial wealth inequities, according to a new report by the Congressional Black Caucus. The report released Monday offers guidelines to corporations on the best practices to adopt to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion policies in the workplace and calls on companies to recommit to advance racial justice in the workplace. The document also includes a roadmap for advancing wealth creation in Black communities and closing the racial wealth gap. In the wake of the death of George Floyd, corporations pledged $50 billion to racial equity and strengthening DEI policies, said Representative Stephen Horsford, DNAV, chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, in an interview. DEI is now under attack, but the response from corporate America has been overwhelming. Elenia Aguilar raised her two sons in Arizona, first in Tucson and later Phoenix, so they're no strangers to scorching heat. Just recently, Phoenix hit its 100 straight days at or above 100, shattering the record set in 1983. She remembers Scary moments seeing soccer kids and my own children pass out and faint from, heat. Related illnesses, she said. It was seeing my sons dehydrated. Scores of U.S. schoolyards like hers are carpeted in heat-absorbing asphalt with no shade even for play areas. The buildings were often made with wall and roofing materials that radiate heat into indoor spaces. Kids are also more vulnerable to heat illness than adults. Their bodies have a harder time self-regulating in extreme heat, in part because they sweat less, so they can become dehydrated faster. Climate change is heightening the risks. School closures related to heat are becoming more frequent, according to a report by the Center for Climate Integrity and the firm Resilient Analytics. A poignant phrase echoes when 9/11 victims' relatives gather each year to remember the loved ones they lost in the terror attacks. I never got to meet you. It is the sound of generational change at Ground Zero, where relatives read out victims' names on every anniversary of the attacks. Nearly 3,000 people were killed when Al-Qaeda hijackers crashed four jetliners into the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and a field in southwest Pennsylvania on Sept. 11, 2001. Some names are read out by children or young adults who were born after the strikes. Last year's observance featured 28 such young people among more than 140 readers. Young people are expected again at this year's ceremony Wednesday. Some are the children of victims whose partners were pregnant. More of the young readers are victims' nieces, nephews, or grandchildren. They have inherited stories, photos, and a sense of solemn responsibility from Resilient Analytics. A short break from the Hello America Millennium Daily News. Stay tuned.